into the night, towards mystery. The wild child rides on, with songs of might engraved in history.
Excellent. All right. What's good, guys? It was a warm day today. Oh, it was so comfy. I only wore one layer, just one layer, and I was good. I was good. It's gonna be a little bit warmer tomorrow too. The sun is regaining its strength, but we might just have. I can't trust it. Can't trust it. It can always bounce right back in and give us one of those damn mid-March fucking snowstorms. It can happen. So, whatever. All right, guys, how we doing? It is Zerilath Eternal. The channel name will change eventually. I'm doing it last, and I'm still working on a few other transfers of power. But anyway... 9 Doors of Midgard, we're going to do one chapter, one door tonight. Gonna ram right through it. It's a work night, so I don't want to linger too long. We're listening to Solstice Rider. They're an indie, I think they're an indie band from Maryland. They're an American band, but they got that fucking, it's like, I'm a big fan of Winter Sun, and so bands that got that vibe, like, I'm all for it. And it's pretty cool because, he's only like a regional thing, so he doesn't have like bazillions of fans and no personal time. So like, I was in correspondence with him on Facebook. It was cool. Anyway, so Edred Thorsson's 9 Doors of Midgard, the 5th door. Let me see here. I've got a little bit more space. I'm gonna resize this over here real quick. Bear with me, because I want to blow this up for my own reading purposes. And now I just gotta resize it over here. Whoop. Good. And one more thing. Oh, that might be too much. Oh, a pinch too much. Ah, there we go. Nice. Nice. Nice! Alright, that's professional. That's a bit more professional. The 5th Door of Midgard. Opening. With the completion of the 4th door, you have crossed an important threshold in your runic initiation. If you have any ambitions to enter the Rune Guild, you have not already done so, this might be a convenient time to write a summary report of your progress to include with an application to the Ehrman Hall. If your work has been thorough, the skills level which you will have attained is at the level of a fellow of the guild. However, in order to be so named by the guild itself, you will have to become a member and participate in the programs of the guild for a period of time. In the 5th door, you will expand what you have learned in the first 4 doors into much more practical dimensions. You will start measuring your progress more and more against ancient Germanic lore and authentic runic traditions, and against the objective world itself. It is only through the feedback you get, either from transpersonal or archetypal traditions, or from the world around you, that that your progress in inner development can be measured. There's a couple of weird little typos in here. I'm just going to have to go with it. Anyway, more subjective methods easily lead to meaningless inner chatter in which nothing is learned and no real progress is made. One of the most significant different things between this and subsequent doors and all previous ones is that doors 5 through 9 are not keyed to a certain number of repetitions of rune thinking exercises, which up until now have provided the pace for the work. You should spend a total of 72 days on each door, 5 through 9, one for each virgin. But anyway, yeah, 72, like, you know, thanks to Muslim propaganda, let's all face it, 72 is numerologically, you're just going to think virgins, because that's just, it's just like since 9/11, even prior, you know, fundamentalist cults established by the CIA sold the grift of 72 virgins in heaven. Right? And for a long time, Americans kind of thought all Muslims were kind of ideologically this way, with the exception of these couple of Muslims and those couple of Muslims, right? And we didn't quite understand things like, why are we friends with the Middle East at all? Effectively, right? Crazy world, right? So I'm Gen X, so I have, you know, so like everybody, you know, since then, right? It's just that my generation had the most freedom to be real fucking violent about it. We had some real violent fucking opinions across the boards of people, right? You know, we all know about the fucking fights that broke out, or fucking goddamn Sikhs and shit were getting assaulted because, goddamn, man, just goddamn. All right. Suggested reading for the 5th door. Now would be a good time to expand your knowledge to general magical techniques with titles such as Magic, W.E. Butler, The Magician by W.E. Butler, The Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey. Also, knowledge of exoteric and esoteric runology can be expanded at this time with titles such as Runes and Magic, Stephen E. Flowers, and Rune Games, Mary Jane Osborne and Stella Longland. Yeah. Alrighty. Okay, so now would also be a good time, if you have not done so already, to become familiar with the whole Neo-Germanic and Neo-Pagan movement. Okay, so interesting that he kind of like says like now start being more conscious in your distinction between how you feel about a pagan here by the time you're entering the halfway point on the passage through these doors. Outwardly, you will continue much as you have been. Keep to your regular schedule of work, alternating intense periods of work with lighter periods as you feel the need. Continue to practice every day, even if on some days you can only do the daily work of self-offering, because the format of doors 5 through 9 will be somewhat looser, somewhat more experimental. It is less necessary to do all of your work at one time. The runes have been loaded in you should by now. Wait a minute. The runes have been loaded in your should by now. Okay, so The runes that have been loaded in you should by now, you will be guided in the way to work is best for you. Okay, let's just roll. You work 4. There are 2 important additional expansions to you work, the mill work and the road work. And also, by the way, the thing, like with the dailies, right? Like, that's what works with me, right? It's just like, because I have a daily ritual, it becomes, you become less concerned about missing other rituals. Because, you know, if you're doing a daily ritual, it means like, okay, did I just miss the full moon? Oh, I just missed the full moon. Damn. Well, at least I did ritual that day anyway, right? So it's really good to have that going, because if you got daily ritual that works, and my daily ritual is a triune situation, right? I am spending, I'm spending time doing different rituals when I wake up, in the middle of my day, and before I go to bed. All of it running an energy process that I have adapted from the teachings and techniques that I studied under originally in a lesson system. Millwork. The millwork is a method of powerfully charging the central column by activating the great horizontal wheel of the 4 outer spheres and their connecting beams so that it spins around like a mill wheel, feeding the central column with increased energy. To perform the millwork, the runer should begin by activating all of the worlds within his or her personal sphere, as is usual with the U working, especially important to have the beams of power linking the mid-spheres with the outer 4 spheres, as shown in Figure 5.1. By the way, I have, with my evening ritual in particular, that's the one that's a little bit more elaborate, because the end of the night, I've got more time. I got more time to rev myself, hype myself into the ritual. And that one fully involves casting the Circle of the Magician. And so with that one, I'm usually just going around in a circle to activate the circle. And usually I would have a posture that was maybe operating with just the northern 3 points. But since then, I've been inspired by this book to try a few things that operate clockwise to the process. Doing the qigong elemental expressions for each position has been one of the most excellently effective things. So there's a water posture that I face when I'm in the north, an ether posture for the east, things like this, right? And so this is me getting way more into activating. I've done a little bit more drawing runes in the air. I haven't been, most of what I've been doing has been like energy management, general kind of like shape of forms and things, operating with the double toroidal field of the soul, so on and so forth, right? 3 selves activations or management. That's been largely it. Now I'm adding a little bit more operational work. Getting a sense of these kinds of things. If you're already the kind of thinker that works with things like mind palaces. This gives you an etheric three-dimensional space in which to arrange your mind palace. You're welcome. Okay, so the mill is a method of powerfully charging the central column by activating the great horizontal wheel of the four outer spheres and their connecting beams so that it spins around like a mill wheel, feeding the central column with increased energy. To perform the mill work, the runer should begin by activating all of the worlds within his or her personal sphere, as is usual with the U working. It is especially important to have the beams of power linking the Midgard sphere with the outer four spheres as shown in Figure 5.1. Once the 9 spheres are powerfully present, the runer should begin to visualize the turning of the outer sphere and the spokes of the wheel created by the spheres and the beams of power connecting them to Midgard. The direction of the turning should be with the sun, clockwise, but experiment with the Widdershins. Direction also to not the difference. Okay. Okay. But experiment with the Widdershins. Directions are not too. Okay. Experiment with the Widdershins' direction. Also, to know the difference in the kind of power produced. I think that sentence makes more sense. That's what I'm going to say. You can read it. This is the way I'm saying it. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a little bit cut off on that side, isn't it? Oh, it's a little bit cut off on my screen. That's why. Ah. Jeez. Come on. There we go. Much better. All right. It is as if the beams are firmly attached to the outer world and are detached from Midgard, but spinning around it, feeding it with increased power as the outer wheel spins. As the wheel spins faster, the amount of energy being fed to the central sphere will grow and will begin to glow with a brighter light. Your whole being has become a dynamo, a generator of self-created fire. After the central Midgard sphere has been sufficiently fed, visualize the whole wheel rising up to the Losafheimer level, where the process of spinning and feeding the sphere on the axis is repeated. Let me make sure I didn't fully like the way I pronounced it. Losafheimer. Losafheimer, Losafhelm, Loselfheimer. All right, that sounded a little bit more like proper enunciation. Okay. Losafheimer will grow and expand in power just as Midgard had done. You will notice the increased awareness of the meanings of these worlds, and they will grow in you as the spheres are fed. Next, rise to the Asgard level and repeat the process. After the Asgard sphere has been energized in this way, again, work your way down to the Midgard level and similarly work your way from there to Svartalfheimr and Hell, and from there back up to Midgard. In this process, there will be a total of 9 activations. Midgard 3 times, Losafheimer and Svartalfheimr twice each, and Asgard and Hell once each. Hold on a second. So, anyway, again, I'm trying to actually think of that in my head now. You can use the circle above me as a helpful mental reference point. Yeah, I'm wearing a crown. Sue me. Way down to the Midgard level. Okay, so from the Asgard sphere, work your way down to the Midgard level. Similarly, work your way from there to Svartalfheimr. So then you're going there, and then to Hell. So then you're going down here, and then back up to Midgard. Okay, and then a total of and in this process, you told my Midgard 3 times. Lostafheimer, Svartalfheimr twice each. Okay, but you didn't make it clear. I guess this prior. All right, fine. Okay, cool. You get the idea. So, here's a tree, and here's the flow of energy, right? So this version of the world tree operates on a different plane. Each one works like this is a 2-dimensional representation. This here is a semi 3-dimensional representation. Where we have 5 elements that are kind of working on this central plane, and then you've got the 5 elements that make it a column on the top. And this all makes sense to me because I do my qigong postures. There's a conscious effort that where my hands go, they have the places where they stop, right? And so these are the points of where the line meets its corner, right? These are going to be corner points where my hands stop. These corner points are where the energy of my spheres are lying around me, right? One manner that you could interpret looking at this diagram, because he's left it blank, I'm going to take some liberties, is that the central 3 is your triune soul, right? The one on the top and the one on the bottom are your roots and your canopy, right? This is kind of like your legs and your feet, right? Your legs and your feet, which technically you don't have chakra energy there, but the chakra energy in your in the base of your spine is what is feeding life force from the base chakra, from your root chakra into your legs. And so that operates as, for me, there's going to be 2 spheres there. And then my hands are down, making energetic connection to the earth. Right, and so that's operating from Muspelheim, Svartalfheim, and Helheim, right? And so typically you're going to have Svartalfheim is going to be on your right side if you're facing north. and it's going to be on your left side. And Helheim is going to be on your left side, right? And so these are aspects of left-hand path, right-hand path, right? Left-hand path is, and I don't mean like, and I mean like left-hand path has a connotation, right? I'm not talking about any particular traditions. I'm just talking about what is this polarity of left energy in just a hermetic sense of the energy, the correspondences, right? Because obviously if we're going to use allegories like left hand, right hand, then I need, as a regular course of colloquial speech, to be able to say left hand path and say, let me specify, because I think left hand path means, I think there are many left hand paths. Let me tell you about my left hand path, right? Because saying left hand path, like, I'm not interested in doing thelemic magic, for instance, right? I'm interested in studying it, and I'm interested in doing my own thing with anything good I see. Mr. Mission fucking Control. I remember you from a long-ass time ago, don't I? Haven't you known about me for ages? Good to see you. So anyway, yeah, so your heart center is Midgard, right there in the absolute center. And so then what's thrown out into these planes on the side, right? Because Niflheim is going to be, you see, like, because, Niflheim is in the north, and the north is not the highest place. The northeast is the highest place, right? But for the purposes of how this system works, right, you would basically need to be facing northeast for it to be correct, right? Because Asgard basically rises above Niflheim. Okay, like, that's what makes Asgard that highest place, is that it gets above Niflheim, and that is the place of the gods, above the clouds, above the realm of the mist, right? And so Niflheim is like that permeable membrane between this world and that, in which the walls of Asgard and the walls of Midgard, protect us from this. This is these swirling gases. This is kind of like Niflheim is basically the plasma realm. It's people are starting to pick up on conscious plasma. Well, these are things of Niflheim. There are evils in Niflheim, and there are goods in Niflheim, and there are just things that are of nature in Niflheim, right? And when I speak of evils, I mean true evils, not just it's one thing to say there are things that are threats in a place and things that are not, right? So I'll say that Niflheim has threats and Niflheim has stuff that's chill, right? But all of it is weird and elusive, and you have to be damn good at what you do. You need Odin for this, and Odin alone is pretty much the only one that can deal with Niflheim because of, the cunning madness of him, right? His madness, his fervor, right? The essence of the woad. this is something that makes him a very unique entity that can deal with all this stuff. So then that would put Niflheim as that spot just under Asgard. Helheim being at the absolute bottom, and then you would have whatchamafucket, Muspelheim would be there in the lower self center, right? It's also, actually, no, human anatomy still works for this, actually. So, you know what? We've been on this for way too long. But I just wanted to just give you this idea, right? Like, your projected space would be along this plane with Jotunheim, how you project yourself. That's going to be standing in the east, so that's going to be one of these bars that sprouts out on the right side, is going to effectively determine that, making all assumptions that you are facing north doing this work, right? And then on the left side, you're going to have Losselfheim, light elf realm, right? And then opposite that, on the lower rungs, we talked about Svartalfheim. And then there's also Vanaheim, because Vanaheim and Jotunheim, they run parallel to Midgard. Vanaheim and Jotunheim are kind of like those. They're the more substantial side of the spirit realm, right? It's a little bit complicated, because the point is that the mists of Niflheim are kind of like, they're everywhere. They're everywhere, but Midgard and Asgard, right? And Asgard is the higher mind, and because this is why we take drugs and do certain kinds of meditations, right? Because we're opening up the channels. We're opening up through substances in Midgard, through things we do in Midgard. We're opening up channels in Asgard to allow the mists of Niflheim in and entice us with strange visions, right? To increase knowledge, right? To increase knowledge and to discover more power and things of this nature, right? So when we make movies and stuff where we're visualizing these fantasy worlds, like the Avatar films, right? Avatar is perfect because, the planet's got a different atmosphere and everything else, but on a deep primal emotional level, there's a lot of different kinds of people that are just into, I want to be there, right? This is letting Niflheim in, right? And this, I think the correlation to Nephilim, I think that it's there, and this takes trying to know the word in pre-biblical context. I want to cite the Bible as little as possible. I'll let people that feel like the Bible is affirmed feel affirmed. Say, sure, that's, I don't know about that, but this is what I know. Right? I've heard of that in the Bible. I remember reading it. I know a little bit about it. But I'm trying not to let the Bible lean on my conclusions. So if it helps your Bible story out, wow, well, okay, cool. You know, it's a paltered book, and nothing's going to change the fact that there's bad facts in that book. It's paltering. But anyway, Figure 5-1 millwork. During each phase of the process, the outer wheel moves lightning quick, but the central column remains stationary. As the runer moves the mill wheel up and down, the axis increased energy and power is fed to each of the spheres of the U column. The overall effect of this working can be electrifying, as the whole seems to work much like an electric generator. Energy is intensively concentrated at the point touched by the spinning spokes of the mill wheel. To end this exercise, return the wheel to its central position in Midgard and bring it to rest. Circulate the intensely gathered energies from the central axis throughout the psychophysical system with a series of 9 or so full cycles of breath. Road work. But it's 8:10, so let me tell you what. I want to take a music break. Let me take a quick scroll down. How many? Cool, there's more visual stuff. Ooh, this is going to be fun. Alright. That's a lot of reading. God, oh damn, this is all in this... This is all the same door? Fuck, this is a big door, isn't it? This guy wasn't lying. Oh, wow. God damn. Okay. Alright, this one is going to be a two-parter. But I'm still going to take a break and give you more. But I'm pretty sure I don't want to go all the way through all that. Alright, so we're here at road work. Now give me a minute to... Oh, wait. That's what I want to do. There we go. Alright, give me a minute to pick a song. Any song. Let's see here. I'm going through my history and saying, okay, what have I listened to recently that's not too long, that's vibing? What's vibing for people? What's going to be vibing? Alright. Alright. Okay, I'm going to ear bleed you with some Septic Flesh. I've chosen Septic Flesh. Do I want to do Amphibians, the new song? You know what, I don't want to do a new song. For no other reason, it's good shit. I'm just, why's everybody got to play the new song, right? Give me... Alright, sure. Martyr.
Bro! Look at that!
Look at that! Stupid. Alright, shut up. There we go. that ended a little bit faster than I thought it would. There's still 30 seconds left on the track. So I thought there was like at least 20 more seconds of song. Anyway. Excuse me. Oh, forgive me if that was way too in your ear. Sorry, man. I'm bad at that. I'm really bad at that. I can imagine why people wouldn't want to watch me. I wouldn't want to fucking have that happen to my ear. Ugh. But, hey, what am I going to do? I got a lot of life going on, okay? Anywho. Alright, so, we're going to go on for a little bit longer. The road work is the full activation of all 24 roadways as beams of light among the now established 9 spheres or worlds within the greater psychophysical sphere. As your skill grows, you will be able to explore these roadways in more detail and learn their runes. This will be the work of future doors. But for right now, the task is merely to establish the 24 roadways or paths which connect the 9 worlds in the subjective and objective universes. This is done by invoking the full 9 spheres as with earlier phases of the U work. Now, however, you will first concentrate on the 4 paths leading from the outer worlds to Midgard. Make them fast in your mind's eye. Then, add the paths leading from the outer 4 worlds to Lossifheimer and Svartefheimer. Once these are established, add the roadways leading from the outer worlds to Asgard and Hel. Spend some time making the whole image as shown already in Figure 4.1. Firm in your mind's eye. Feel the interconnectedness of all the worlds along these 24 pathways. The appreciation of this feeling is the realization of the rune of 24-foldedness, which is one deeply embedded in the runic system. This is also much better, eh? This is also a mystery shared with the much-neglected Hellenic system. Interesting. I did not know that Hellenic runes were neglected. I want to know more. Are they not neglected anymore? I don't know. I don't remember when this book was published. Practice setting up the full array of roadways in your personal sphere as often as you can before beginning the next door. With the establishment of the 9 worlds and the 24 roadways in the personal sphere, the runer will begin to be able to feel the multidimensional webwork of Weird in his or her very being. Galder 3. Now that you have sung the Galders of all 24 runes over an extended period of time and actualized their reality on a vibratory or sound level, it is now time to link them strongly with the visible sign of the rune or the rune stave. This is done by visualizing the rune stave in a bright red color in your core, being in the Midgard wheel and in a position outside and in front of you, perhaps in the rune band around you. Now you sing the rune name and or the complete rune Galder as learned in the last door. When you do this, visualize the rune staves both within you and without you resonating with the power of the Galder. At that point, the song and the stave become one thing. The stave is a picture of the sound, and the sound is a reflection of the sign. You should practice with one or more individual runes every day during your daily work. Set up a regular schedule in your Galder book, which you feel comfortable with. It is probable still best to follow the Futhark order at this time in order to ensure complete and solid development of the whole system. Concentrate on the identity of the signs and the sound and their locations both within you and without you. With or without you. Okay, sorry. You two sucks now. As a general note at this time, remember that you can start to allow for bleed over from the exercise to another at this point in your development. Work done here will improve your rune thinking exercise as well, and Stevegalder and you work. More and more, you will be coming to a personalized synthesis of the lore and work of the runes. Steva Work 5. Through your work in the first 4 doors, you have now become the master of the forms of the rune Stother. It is now time to amplify this mastery, the lore of runic posture, although certainly known in ancient times, was really developed in the early part of this century by the German rune magicians Marby and Kummer. The book Rune Might will give you further keys to using their work. The Rune Guild program tries to put this lore into a more traditional framework and perspective. What's up, Mike Hayes? Surrounding the body, the like is a veritable leek skin of fields of energy. This leek or onion skin structure can be mined for treasure of energy available in the zones defined by the layers in the U work. You have been developing these layers in volcanic fields built up in the pattern shown in figure 5.2. These are zones radiating from the volcanic center. Yeah. You know what? I've actually been doing something lately that I intuited all my own, which was to do a expanding spiral of yin-yang, which was, I had noticed that I had several layers of ability to do yin-yang with my hands because of how much I'd been practicing various concepts in energy balancing, because my Libra qualities are very comfortable with certain kinds of balances. So there's the yin-yang hands. These are the small hands, right? And so you do that, and then on the spin back, now you're doing the regular yin-yang. And then you know, and then on the spin back from that, there's the full twist. The full twist, which then can turn into the cutting of the universe, which is a full twist with the cut across. And then, you know, from there, you can as above, so below, and twist it. I'm working on a whole routine that operates for doing meditation in a small area, right? Because by and large, I can't be bothered, you know, in this weather to go outside, you know, or whatever for ritual. You know, I want to be inside. I might want to be listening to music or a podcast or whatever. I want to be next to my altar for familiarity, and I got a small space, right? So I'm operating with a condensed magic circle, not a full 6-foot projection all around me. It's more like 3 feet, right? But with the occasional time that I tap something, because spatial awareness, it can be very funny the manner in which spatial awareness changes, right? Where you spaced yourself out, you know, you moved as many things as reasonably possible, and you're like, you know, you give yourself, okay, it's like, all right, cool. And so then I'm doing my thing, and largely, I firmly root my feet. I don't do a whole lot of leg work. I'm actually trying to add a little bit more leg work into the process, which, you know, naturally there isn't going to be that much in a tight circle in the first place. But I hopefully can get enough runs of it outside where I can do something a little bit more unobstructed. Especially as the weather gets nicer. But no, it's in flow. It's this cool thing where it's expanding, right? You're twisting out and expanding it. Okay. All right. Using techniques already learned and adding those learned in this door regarding the runic physiology and hand postures, see below, the runer will be able to tap into these fields very efficiently. One of the main ways to gain access to these fields of power is through the rune stother. When you strike a runic posture note where your hands, feet, arms, and legs intersect, or enter into these fields of power, feel the power enter into your core from these fields through these parts of your body. It might also be noticed that this helps to unlock some of the mysteries surrounding the actual shapes of the runes and what these shapes mean esoterically. An example of how the Steva gives access to certain zones of power is shown in Figure 5.3. There we see how the arms emerge from the core and traverse the E field, and the hands enter into the A field. Thus we can see how and why the T-stave can be a powerful channel for gaining access to the fields of Asgard and Lustafheimer, and from now on, when striking runic postures, the runer should see and feel where his or her limbs are in relation to these fields of power. You can then more easily draw energy from these fields through your head, feet, arms, hands, and so on. In the fourth door, we saw how there are 24 pathways within the Yggdrasil structure surrounding and supporting the body inside and out. This is a model based on an idea of a soul structure of unseen might and main, which vivifies and energizes the physical vehicle or like. It is well known that the ancient Germans, like their Indo-European forebears, had an esoteric doctrine in which the subtle structure of the soul were thought to have analogues in the physical body. Thus, there would have been a whole doctrine of a runic physiology. This runic physiology is illustrated in Figure 5.4. We will leave it up to others to determine the extent to which such structures might have counterparts in physical reality. The magical utility of such a model is what concerns us here. In the physical vehicle, there are veins or channels of power running from the vertical axis to the extremities. The system corresponds directly to the more subtle system of the worlds and pathways first outlined in the fourth door and also outlined in rune lore. This internal quasi-physical system may prove to be a more useful alternative or augmentation to the more subtle model. With the internal system, the runer can channel energies directly from the fields of energy surrounding the body into the core. Also, these energies can be directed from the core through to the hands and feet and into the outer world to have magical effects. All right. So Vanheimer and Jotunheimer he puts down by the feet. I guess that's Hellheimer. Okay. Svartalfheimer's here. That's obviously Midgard. That's obviously Asgard. Lostafheim is the heart. Okay. Muspelheim and Nifl. Okay, so he's going with hand correspondences for Muspelheim and Niflheim. That's interesting. I would almost want to say that, I would want Svartalfheim, like I said before, right? Svartalfheim being the right hand. Helheim doesn't have to be the left hand, though. In fact, Muspelheim is kind of appropriate to be the left hand. That's how I would do this. I would have it facing that way. Vanaheim at the feet. Yeah, sure. Yeah. No. All right, I see what it's. I have to think more about foot energy, I suppose. And I do plenty, not plenty, but I do earthing as I can. You know, I mean, I'm always barefoot at home. Like, not right now because it's a little bit chilly, so I'm wearing some rubber under, like, slips, you know. But anyway, the main immediate use for this pattern of internal runic physiology is as a conduit for runic energies, making their way from the objective to the subjective realms and the reverse. This, like many other runic models, are really magical projections from the realm of runic consciousness and thus are quite flexible. Honstudr. In the use of internal runic physiology, perhaps the most important tool is that of the hands. These become the instruments of physical articulation in a way analogous to the way the mouth is on another level. It was noted by some reviewers of Futhark that the use of magical runic hand gestures or positions was left out of the pages of that book. This kind of material is included for the Armanen tradition, where it is really most at home. In the pages of Runemight, I felt that it was better left out of Futhark because, although the use of such hand positions seems likely to have been virtually universal among all the Indo-European peoples, there is little direct evidence remaining of it in the Teutonic tradition. In Futhark, as generally... What's up, Telonius? In Futhark, as generally in the Nine Doors of Midgard, I only include those techniques for which there is good evidence in the Elder tradition. Now, that does not mean that I am against innovation, just that the basics need to be developed before innovation is entered into. In the first place, enough people have worked with the basics. Did they literally put the period in the wrong place? Need to be developed. Innovation is entered into in the first place. In the first place. Enough people have worked with the basics of the content of Futhark. So that's, see, place, and then you put the period, and then enough people have worked with the basics of the contents of Futhark to warrant the expansion of knowledge to this field. And in the second place, I came across some pieces of information confirming the use of magical hand gestures among the most ancient Germanic peoples. Besides the general supposition that the forms of the Elhaz rune may be inspired by or reinforced by the splayed human hand as a sign of protection or warning to potential adversaries, there is the direct evidence of a magical gesture being given by a real flesh-and-blood ancient Teuton. This is the Windeby girl, one of the famous so-called bog people. Many of the bog people were human sacrifices. And this may have been the case with the Windaby girl, but it is far more likely that she died of natural causes. She was, however, pinned down in the bog by birch branches placed over her limbs. Her eyes were blindfolded, and she was placed in such a way as to appear to be directing towards her own face a magical hand gesture similar to that sometimes called the fig. This is done by placing the thumb between the clenched fingers of the hand. See the, okay, that's the Thirst rune below. When the thumb is between the clenched fingers, I would assume they're talking about this, this isn't a fist. So let me see here. This, for the time and place of the Windaby girl, is interpreted to have been an apotropaic protective sign to ward off evil. One interpretation of all the circumstances of the Windaby girl find is that she died of natural causes, yet someone had reason to fear that she might return in the form of a walking corpse to plague the community. She was therefore treated to a special form of burial. The runic inscription of the elder and younger ages attests to the fact that this fear of the walking dead, known in Old Norse as the Draugr, or when awakened and sent on missions of mayhem by some magician as a Dauthinger, was well known. Dauthinger. Now that's interesting. I did not know this term. Not in a more precise manner, and I'm honestly a little bit enticed. Let's see here. Old Norse. Oops, hold on a second. Plural definitive. I don't know if that's gotten the right word. Hold on a minute. I keep getting dot here, which I think means daughter in Old Norse. I'm almost certain it means daughter, because that's the only thing popping up for this word. Suffix of a name, person, eagle, son. Fem, name, and dem are akin to daughter. Yeah, daughter. It means someone's daughter, right? Which, this is funny, coincidentally, this happens to be someone's daughter. But this is not Dothinger, unless that is an alternate spelling. Old Norse, Dothinger, undead. Let's get specific here. All right. Draugr, the Hogboy, and the Aptgungar. I don't see the Dothinger. What is a Dothinger? Why do I not know this term? All right, I'm going to check out this one that was talking about these three others and see if that makes sense. I want to obsess on this for 1 minute. Okay. Let me use find. Find. D-E-D-A-U. Ugh, it's not in there. There's just 2 instances, and it's just when daughter is said. Okay. Darn it. This is not going to make it easy for me. What is a hogbower? Because that sounds like it might be the right thing. Hogbowie was someone who was mostly confined to their burial mound, unable or unwilling to travel on. They remained in Midgard. When it comes to the hogbower, it seems that they could both be benign or downright evil. Okay. Hounding's Bane. Helgi the All right, forget it. Sorry, I am sorry. Let's get back. Let's pull focus back in. Peaceful Penguin, how you doing? I will put the word in chat. I should be able to. Where was it? Dothing. There we go. I don't know if the letter for the DTH kind of sound is gonna. No, it doesn't. Okay, hold on a second. DAU. Let's see. Yeah. AU. All right, so it's going to be DTH. All right. So Dalthinger, but it's that thing that looks like a D. I forget what they call it. Anyway. Other evidence can be used to corroborate the idea that the ancient Germanic peoples had a developed system of magical hand gestures. If you get a good link, put the link in the chat for me. Thank you. One primary example is found on the Kragsta runestone in Sweden from about 550 CE. It bears an image of a man holding up his hands with a widely splayed fingers. Many scholars interpret this as an apotropaic sign as well. The inscription on the stone may be a personal name, like Steen or Stein. I didn't want to say Stein first because I didn't want to. It wasn't spelled like Stein Fox, so I didn't want to bring up Stein. But anyway, not that I don't want to bring up Stein. I mean that I didn't want to associate Stein with the undead. Okay. All right. Anyway, along with the magical Galder formula, see the Flowers Rune and Magic, page 265 at Passum, for further discussion. These kinds of internal evidence, coupled with the general notion that the Teutonic peoples may have shared in a tradition with their Indo-Aryan brothers, inherited from some common Indo-European tradition, led us to conclude that there is enough evidence to warrant the wider distribution of the practice of magical runic hand positions, or håndstoder. Among the Indians, these gestures are usually called mudras. Now that you have progressed this far in the practice of Stodr, know the trials and tribulations of the practice of Stodr. Magically speaking, the Håndstodr can accomplish very similar, if not identical, results as the full-body Stodr. The Håndstodr have the great advantage, however, of being able to be performed in virtually any location at any time without drawing undue attention to yourself. Furthermore, these practices will develop and concentrate magical power in the hands of the runer. This can also be a great traditional advantage, as the hands are considered to be storehouses of energy and points of projection of such energies into the environment or its withdrawal from other beings. In the practice of runic Håndstodr, the runer is to visualize the power of the rune, contained in a sphere around the hand or hands engaged in performing the steda, as the section above on runic physiology has shown. These spheres are the equivalents of the cosmic worlds of Muspelheimer in the right hand and Niflheimer in the left hand. There are streams of or rivers of controlling force connecting the power centers of the hands with the other power centers along the central U column. The connection with the Midgard center is especially useful, of course. What we got here? Possibly dead thing, döð. This part of the word is related to the Old Norse word dauðr, which means dead. It signifies the death of something that is lifeless. Okay. The second component resembles the Old Norse word thing, which translates to thing or assembly. In historical context, a thing was governed assembly. Okay, so community were discussed and right. Okay, yes. Okay, so a dead gathering. That's probably not it if you don't have something for that word altogether. I would have to hear it in context, right? I would have to hear it in a certain context. It needs context, is what I think, right? Because why would they fear that? It's just her. Why would there be a gathering? It's just one person. It wasn't like she had fucking like 8 sisters or something. So I don't know why he's calling her this yet. Or suggesting that it was one of the possibilities. It cannot be overemphasized that you should experiment with the Holmstede variations. It is really only of vital importance that you develop a set of 24 hand postures that feel right to you. The practice with them and make them your own. With those signs that require only one hand, try using the left and the right hand and see which one feels better to you. So, one posture that I do that is a one-handed posture. Now, for the full effect of it, it requires putting it to your head, right? So this is for the Ansu's rune, right? And so it's 2 fingers like this. And so your hand is kind of like that, right? So it's like your hand is making the Ansu's rune shape. And then you put it to Odin's eye. Pretty simple, right? So you can play that off easy because some guys, they scratch their head, they just like you'll be just like, I'm thinking, right? And this is letting you get away with subtle magic if anybody asks any crazy questions, right? Right, but most people, they go for the temples. They go for their boas and their yakum. They go for their pillars, right? And that's good for taking the stress off to help you think. But if you don't have the stress, but you still need to think about a thing, a little something like that. So there's one that I got that I came up with all by my lonesome. Effectively one of the gifts of the Allfather. So, it cannot be overemphasized that you should experiment. Okay, I'm sorry, I read all that. Where did I stop? Note the differences in any in your Galder book. As far as the tradition is concerned, some of the following still there were taken from ancient Germanic clues, some from the Armenian. Do they mean Armenian tradition? I'm going to... Possibly the Armenians. And some are the result of personal experiments by the Ermenreiten. For more information on the history of runic hand postures, see S.A. Kummer's Rune Magic, published by Runeraven. it is suggested that you substitute Håndstøtter exercises for full Stæða work in the curriculum or add them in a way that parallels the scheduling of the full Stæða work. You are also encouraged to practice Håndstøtter in various odd moments to build your sense of runic power and concentration of that power. These Håndstøtter are especially valuable in the practice of rune fixing. Now that you have developed level sense for the meanings of the runes and have some sense of their inner coherent meta-language, you will have experiences in which perhaps while walking along, you will suddenly be struck by an image in your environment, or even a subjective feeling will roll up from within, and you will think, that's what the so-and-so rune feels like. At that moment, you would like to have a way to fix that feeling or perception or image with the rune in question, so that perhaps you could re-evoke it at will at a later time under controlled magical circumstances. The Håndstøtter are an ideal way of doing this. When such a perception comes, the runer has but to make the hand sign while you have the perception, and it will thereby be fixed in the psychosomatic complex of the runer. These build-up are stored up and can be utilized at a later time under the will of the runer. Now, let me highlight this right here so I can check how close I came. There's all these hand postures that they suggest. Then it goes into rune thinking. Then it's, okay, yes, there's still a lot to go, right? So there's a whole lot to go. And it's almost 9 o'clock now. I think I got to call it here. So we are going to do part 2 soon enough. You know, I actually have to amend the title of this episode. I think I forgot to put down the correct part. So I will have to fix that. Peaceful Penguin says, could be interpreted as referring to an assembly or gathering related to death, possibly a meeting concerning matters. I do the thinking. I get that. I get what you're saying, that it could be related to that. But once again, like, how is that different than a Draugr, right? It's just like the living people doesn't have a bearing on the state of the corpse. This is about the state of the corpse, right? So I mean, I guess there has to be something. I think it makes a little bit of sense to me if this is correct. If you're in the right ballpark, I think I might be able to make sense of it. That it comes from a certain kind of context, and then the rest. But like I also want like a description, like is it just the same thing as a Draugr, but it takes a special kind of curse breaker, right? Like there's got to be rules and like there's a reason because he said Draugr or there's a distinction. And I just don't see how this is a distinction unless it affects the nature of the corpse and there's a change that just was not mentioned, right? Because the book's aim is not for that. There might be a prior book that explains that. Because obviously, this book that I've grabbed is not only in a series, but the series is a full-blown lesson plan. So let's not worry about that. This has been. I'll find the answer later on. It'll come across my desk. But this has been a blast. Thanks so much to you guys that came in late and gave some killer contributions. Tomorrow is the Robert Phoenix show. I am excited. And next month I'll have Mario Garza on. I'm working on asking a handful of other people that I want to schedule into March. And on the 22nd of March, my interview with Alaskan Ulfinar on Greyhorn Pagan's podcast with Stein will be out on the 22nd. That was a 1-hour interview, and it was a jam-packed 60 minutes for you. All right. What was an AI answer? Oh, you asked AI. Ah, okay. Gotcha. Thank you for qualifying, because I thought that maybe you had like a thing for that. Gotcha. All right. So, for these studies, etymology. So, do a search for etymology, right? And I would look at Etym Online, and then I would take a word, and then I would compare that to, like, say, ChatGPT's answer. Right? No. No to which aspect of my statement? I'm about to log off, my man. All right. Well, you've got the outro to give me something to respond to, and I'll type it back to you. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Have a good night.